Hello everyone, I hope you are doing very well. Welcome to this class. So in this class we are going to discuss this chapter, that is some basic concepts of chemistry. As you know very well, in the previous class I discussed already regarding the some basic laws, right? In this chapter, in some basic concepts of chemistry, we were discussing about the five basic laws in the category of like laws of chemical combination. So what are these five basic laws? I am just quickly recalling the previous class concepts, then we will start this today's class. Okay, so in the previous class we were discussing about the laws of chemical combination. In laws of chemical combination, basically there are five laws. The first law is law of conservation of mass. And we had discussed these five basic laws. The first law is law of conservation of mass, and it states that according to this law, if any reaction is happening and that is a balanced chemical equation, so in law of conservation of mass, what can you say? That if a reaction is happening and that is a balanced chemical reaction, right? If I will write like suppose A plus B gives AB, with example like you can write like H2 plus O2 gives H2O. Is this the balanced chemical equation? No, we have to write 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2. If I will write Mg plus O2 gives MgO, is this the balanced chemical equation? No, the balanced chemical equation is Mg plus O2. We have to write 2Mg plus O2 gives 2MgO. So you can see here 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2 and 2Mg plus O2 gives 2MgO, or A plus B gives AB. If the equation is written as a balanced chemical equation, it means it is not unbalanced, it is not skeletal equation. So you can say according to law of conservation of mass, matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. If matter can neither be created nor be destroyed, so you can say that the total number of atoms of each and every element in the reactant side and product side are equal. In a balanced chemical equation, if the total number of elements, if the total number of atoms of each and every element in the reactant side and product side are equal in a balanced chemical equation, so you can say the total mass of the reactants must be equal to the total mass of the products in a balanced chemical equation. And if the total mass of the reactants is equal to the total mass of the products in a balanced chemical equation, so you can say it is following the law of conservation of mass. It is following the law of conservation of mass. So this law we have covered in the previous class. The second law that we had covered is law of definite proportion. Law of definite proportion by mass. This law is also named as law of constant proportion by mass. Also you can say law of fixed proportion by mass. If I'm using the word definite, constant and fixed, what can you say? You can say definite, fixed and constant proportion ratio is same. Suppose I am taking any compound like CO2, I am taking HNO3, I am taking like HCl, I am taking SO2. Some examples of compounds, I am just giving the example of CO2. You can do the same thing with other written examples like HNO3 nitric acid, HCl hydrochloric acid and SO2 sulfur dioxide. Apart from this, you can try this method with like NH3, you can try for CH4, CH2SO4 and SO3, etc. Right? Let's apply for CO2. If I'm taking ratio of carbon to oxygen, not only the number ratio, I am taking the mass ratio. What? Mass ratio. The ratio of mass of carbon to oxygen is what? Carbon atomic mass is 12 and for oxygen it is 16. 2 oxygen atoms are there, so it will be 32. Go to the simplest ratio, it will be 4 3 is 12 and 4 8 is 32. 3 ratio 8. So you can see here As I told you already, according to law of definite proportion by mass, wherever you are, whatever is the source, irrespective of the source of any compound, it contains the same elements with the same proportion by mass, right? The ratio of masses of these elements will be fixed. It is not only for the CO2, you can take any other example of any compound and then you can apply this law. So let's understand first these laws, then I will discuss the next one. Law of conservation of mass. You can see here, law of conservation of mass was put forth by Antoine Lavoisier in 1789. He performed careful experiments, studies for combustion reactions, and reached to the conclusion that in all physical and chemical changes, there is no net change in mass during this process. Then he reached to the conclusion that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. And this law is named as law of conservation of mass. The second law that we had covered is law of definite proportion. What is this law of definite proportion? This law was given by French chemist Joseph Proust. He stated that a given compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by weight. To prove this point, he worked with two samples of cupric carbonate. It means you can say CuCO3. Joseph Proust 1754 to 1826, in his lifetime, one of which was of natural origin. He took one sample from natural origin and one sample that was synthetic, and he found that the composition of the elements which are present in like cupric carbonate, copper, carbon and oxygen, the percentage of these elements is same in both cases. You can see here, this is the tabular form. In natural sample, the percentage of carbon 9.74, copper 51.35 and oxygen 38.91 in natural sample. In synthetic sample, the percentage of carbon is 9.74, same for copper is 51.35 and percentage of oxygen is 38.91. This is for cupric carbonate CuCO3. This is for cupric carbonate CuCO3. The natural sample and synthetic sample both are having the same composition of elements. Both are having the same composition of elements. And this is very interesting point. He concluded that based on that, irrespective of the source, a given compound always contains the same elements. It means in cupric carbonate, always copper, carbon and oxygen will be there, combined together in same proportion by mass. And the validity of this law has been confirmed by various types of experiments. What are those various experiments? He did so many experiments and then he found that this point is definitely true. And this law is sometimes referred as a law of definite composition, or you can say law of fixed composition. What can you say? You can say law of fixed composition. I hope so far these two laws are clear to you. The next law that we had discussed is the law of multiple proportion. Law of multiple proportion is very simple. Ratio, you can say it is in the multiple point. Okay, multiple point means you can say like suppose H2 plus O2 giving H2 and suppose H2 plus O2 is giving H2O2 with some change in conditions. But the point is here, according to law of multiple proportion, if elements are combining to give a compound, right, to give a compound, so they are combining and they are giving more than one compound. One time they are giving H2 and another time they are giving H2O2. Okay, but the proportion of these elements will be in the simplest ratio. It means if they are combining with the fixed mass of another element. So you can say if this law was proposed by John Dalton in 1803. And according to this law, if two elements can combine to form more than one compound, if two elements are combining to form more than one compound, the mass of one element that combined with a fixed mass of other element, here is the other one is H2, are in the ratio of small whole numbers. For example, in this case, hydrogen is combining with oxygen to form two compounds, like one is water and another is hydrogen peroxide. water formula is H2O and hydrogen peroxide formula is H2O2. You can see hydrogen 2 gram, oxygen 16 gram, water 18 gram. Hydrogen 2 gram, oxygen 32 gram and hydrogen peroxide 34 gram. So 16 or 32. You can see 16 ratio 32. 16 ratio 32. It is like 1 ratio 2. 1 ratio 2. So it is the simplest ratio. So the masses of oxygen which combine with a fixed mass of hydrogen 2 gram bear a simple ratio. It means 16 ratio 32. It means you can say 1 ratio 2. This is about the law of multiple proportion. The next law that we are going to discuss today, that is Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volumes, and after that we will be discussing Avogadro's law. What is this Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volume? This is very simple, and you can say this law is also named as law of constant proportion by volume. This law is also named as this law, not this law, the next law, okay, that we are going to discuss. You can see here Avogadro's law. We will be discussing this Avogadro law as well, and then these are the laws that we are going to discuss today. The first law is Gay-Lussac law. The first law is what? Gay-Lussac law. What is this Gay-Lussac law? Is saying that, first of all, I want to write here Gay-Lussac law is also named as law of definite proportion by volume. It means in the previous law of definite proportion by mass, the ratio of masses of elements is same, and in this law of definite proportion by volume, the ratio of volume will be same. It's like that. Law of definite proportion by volume. Let's understand this law. This law was given by Gay-Lussac in 1808, and what he observed that when gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, etc., they are combining or producing in a chemical reaction, they do so in a simple ratio by volume. They do so in a simple ratio by volume, provided all gases are at the same temperature and same pressure. Provided all gases are at the same temperature and same pressure. Very simple now. When gases are combining, so they are combining as well as they are producing some compounds. They may be gases. So if they are combining, if gases are combining or are produced in a chemical reaction, what happens? They do so these things in simple ratio by volume. They do so these things in simple ratio by volume, and provided all gases, whichever the gas is present, all gases present at the same temperature and pressure. Same temperature and pressure. So you can say hydrogen plus oxygen. If hydrogen, which is a gas, is combining with oxygen, which is also a gas, and it is giving water. Okay. So you can say hydrogen 100 ml is combining with 50 ml of oxygen, and you are getting 100 ml of water. You are getting 100 ml of water vapors. So water vapor, which is also a gas, hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas, and water vapor is also gas. 100 ml of hydrogen, which is combining with 50 ml of oxygen, and it is giving 100 ml of water vapors. So thus the volumes of hydrogen and oxygen which combine, it means 100 ml and 50 ml. Hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen volume is 100 ml and oxygen volume is 50 ml. You can say the simplest ratio is 2:1. The simplest ratio is 2:1. Gay-Lussac discovery of integer ratio in volume relationship is actually the law of definite proportion by volume. What is this? This is actually the law of definite proportion by volume. I hope you are very much clear about the Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volumes. I am repeating this point one more time. When gases are combined or produced, they do so in a chemical reaction. They do so in a simple ratio by volume. They do so in a simple ratio by volume, and provided all gases are at the same temperature and pressure. Okay, all gases are at the same temperature and pressure. Let's see this. Volumes of hydrogen and oxygen, you can see, which are combining here to producing water vapors, are 100 ml and 50 ml respectively. And 100 ratio 50 is 2:1. That is the simplest ratio. This Lussac discovery, Gay-Lussac discovery of integer ratio in volume relationship, it is actually the law of definite proportion by volume. Definite proportion by volume. And the law of definite proportion stated earlier was with respect to mass. Okay, that I was stated already. It was with respect to mass. And Gay-Lussac was explained properly by the work of Avogadro in 1811. Okay, this is the Gay-Lussac law. I hope this Gay-Lussac law is clear to everyone. Let's move to the next law, which is Avogadro's law. What is this Avogadro's law is saying? That it is a very simple and easy law. Let's understand this law. You know Amedeo Avogadro? Amedeo Avogadro, there is a Avogadro number as well, right, which is presented as Na, and which is 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23. Also you can represent with N0, which is the same number, right? Only the representation symbol is different. So let's understand the Avogadro's law in deep. In 1811, Amedeo Avogadro proposed that equal volume of all gases, whatever the gas you want to take, suppose you are taking CO2 gas, you are taking oxygen gas, you are taking sulfur dioxide, you are taking ammonia, you are taking methane gas, equal volume of all gases, if you are taking at the same temperature and pressure and conditions are must. If you are taking equal volume of all gases at the same temperature and pressure, they should contain the equal number of molecules. Avogadro number actually tells us about for the microscopic quantities, how many numbers are there, right? It is used to calculate the microscopic quantities. Like suppose I am saying 1 mole of any gas, 1 mole of CO2 gas, so it contains 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 molecules. If I am saying 1 mole of CO2 gas, it contains 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 molecules. If I am saying 1 mole of CH4 gas, which is methane gas, it also contains the same number, 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 molecules of methane in case of methane, and in case of CO2 it contains a 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23, which is named as Avogadro's number molecules of CO2, right? So the law is saying that Avogadro's law, that equal volumes of all gases, whatever the volume you are taking, 1 mole, 2 mole, whatever the amount you are taking, right, it contains the equal number of molecules at the same temperature and pressure. In general, you can say V directly proportional to N. V directly proportional to N according to Avogadro's law. Avogadro made actually a distinction between atoms and molecules, which is quite understandable in present times. If I am saying oxygen atom, so it means oxygen atoms. And if I am saying simply oxygen or oxygen molecules, it means like O2. Okay. So actually Avogadro made a distinction between atoms and molecules. This is very interesting. Suppose I am saying 1 mole of oxygen, so it contains 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 oxygen molecules, O2 molecules. But if I am saying how many atoms are present in 1 mole of O2, because in one O2 molecule, 2 atoms of oxygen are there, In one oxygen molecule, two atoms of oxygen. So 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23 oxygen molecules will contain 2 into Avogadro number, means 2 into 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23, means you can say 12.044 into 10 raised to the power 23 molecules. No, now it contains atoms. These are the atoms of oxygen which are present in 1 mole of O2. In 1 mole of O2, 12.044 into 10 raised to the power 23 atoms of oxygens are there. So actually Avogadro made a distinction between atoms and molecules, and he said that V directly proportional to N, that means equal volume of all gases at the same temperature and pressure contains equal number of molecules. If we consider again the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen, it means H2 plus O2 gives water. We see that the two volumes of hydrogen combine with one volume of oxygen to give two volume of water without leaving any unreacted oxygen. You can see here, if I'm saying H2 plus O2 gives H2O, H2 plus O2 gives H2O. If I will write the balanced chemical equation, so you have to write 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2O. This is a gas, this is also a gas, and this one is also gas. So 2 volume of hydrogen is combining with 1 volume of oxygen, and you are getting 2 volume of water. My point is that if we consider the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen to produce water, you can see here the 2 volumes of hydrogen combined with 1 volume of oxygen to give 2 volumes of water, and without leaving any type of unreacted oxygen. I will show you the box as well. In each box it contains equal number of molecules. If hydrogen and oxygen were considered as diatomic as recognized now, then the above results are easily understandable. You can see here the boxes. In this box we have 1 volume of hydrogen. In this box we have 1 more volume of hydrogen. In this case we have 1 volume of oxygen, and you are getting 2 volume of water vapors. You are getting 2 volume of water vapors. So 1 volume of 1 volume means 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2. 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2. You can see here boxes, and in boxes volume of hydrogen, volume of oxygen, and volume of water vapors are there. The line itself suggesting that each box contains equal number of molecules. In each box equal number of molecules are there. If hydrogen and hydrogen and oxygen, which is H2 and O2, are considered as diatomic molecules, you can see here the above results are easily understandable. The above results are easily understandable. However, Dalton and others believed at that time that atoms of same kind cannot combine, and molecules of oxygen or hydrogen containing 2 atoms did not exist. Dalton and other some scientists believed that atoms of the same kind cannot combine. It means they believed that H2, O2, N2, Cl2, they did not exist. These molecules did not exist. Atoms of the same kind cannot combine, and molecules of like oxygen, hydrogen containing 2 atoms means diatomic, means atomicity is 2, did not exist. But Avogadro proposal was published in the French journal De Physique. In spite of being correct, it did not gain much support. But this one is correct. Avogadro law is correct, but it did not gain so much support. Okay, this is about the Avogadro's law. I hope you are getting a clear idea that what is this Avogadro law. In this Avogadro law, as I said to you already, this is 1 volume of hydrogen. So hydrogen, and each box contains equal number of molecules. Each box contains equal number of molecules. Okay, so this is about the Avogadro law, which ultimately state that V directly proportional to N. V directly proportional to N. I hope so far you are very much clear that what is Avogadro's law. So I want to quickly recall that whatever we have covered today in this class, and this is all about this today's class. Okay. So in this today's class, we have covered majorly Gay-Lussac law, of gaseous volumes, and then we had covered Avogadro's law. In Gay-Lussac law, you know very well what he suggested. Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volume is also named as law of definite proportion by volume. You can say in this law, if H2 plus O2 are combining to form water vapors, so if 100 ml of H2 is combining with 50 ml of water, you will get 100 ml of, with 50 ml of oxygen, you will get 100 ml of water. So these gases are combining in simple ratio. They are combining in simple ratio. Let's understand the simple ratio. You can see here the Gay-Lussac law of volumes. In Gay-Lussac law of volumes, gaseous volumes, in 1808, he observed that when gases combine or are produced in a chemical reaction, they do so in a simple ratio by volume. And you can see hydrogen plus oxygen gives water. So 100 ml and 50 ml they are combining, and you are getting 100 ml water. It means you can say the volumes of hydrogen and oxygen which combine bear a simple ratio. Now you are confused, like if I'm saying a hydrogen plus oxygen, they are giving water vapors. If I will balance this, 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2. You are saying 100 ml of this H2 we are taking, and 50 ml of this O2 we are taking. 50 ml of this O2 we are taking, and you are getting 100 ml of this H2. You are getting 100 ml of this H2O. I hope you are very much clear. So hydrogen plus oxygen gives water. Hydrogen plus oxygen gives water. So Gay-Lussac discovery of integer ratio in volume relationship is actually named as like the law of definite proportion by volume. Okay. Then we had covered the next law, which is Avogadro's law, and which is very simple. In 1811, Avogadro proposed a law that is named as Avogadro law, and according to that law, equal volume of all gases at the same temperature and pressure contains equal number of molecules. It means you can say V directly proportional to N. If V is directly proportional to N, so Avogadro made actually a distinction between atom and molecule. Okay, and that is definitely quite understandable in present times. Okay. And you can see I told you some examples as well. I showed you some boxes as well. And the next point is here. Daltons and others believed at that time that atoms of same kind, same type cannot combine, and molecules of oxygen or hydrogen containing two atoms did not exist, but actually they exist. Okay. So this is all about this Amedeo-Avogadro law, and I want to tell you the Avogadro number as well, which is represented as Na, and that will be the 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23. 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23. Also you can show by N0 and not, you can say, and it will be 6.022 into 10 raised to the power 23, which is named as Avogadro number, which is named as what? Avogadro number. So this is all about this Avogadro law. I hope you are very much clear about this, about these 5 basic laws. Actually in this chapter we had discussed so many important points. As you know, the chapter name is Some Basic Concepts of Chemistry. This chapter is important according to exam point of view. You have to be very careful while learning these concepts, okay, because these concepts are useful in the upcoming chapters. And this these 5 basic laws are important, and some laws you have covered, you have learned already in your lower grades, but some laws are there which are new for you. Okay, so I'm repeating, we had discussed 5 basic laws in laws of chemical combination. First is law of conservation of mass, second is law of definite proportion by mass, third is law of multiple proportion, fourth is like Gay-Lussac law of gaseous volume, also named as law of definite proportion by volume, and the fifth one is Avogadro law. Okay, everyone. So this is all about this today's class. Thank you so much. We will meet soon in the next class with the next topics. And in the next topics, I want to give a rough idea. In the next topics, we will cover Dalton's atomic theory. John Dalton used the idea of these laws of chemical combination, and he put forwarded his what can I say? He put forwarded his theory, atomic theory on nature of matter. He put forwarded his atomic theory on nature of matter, which is named as what? Which is named as Dalton's atomic theory. So next class will be going to be very interesting as well, like today's class. So thank you so much again, and we will meet soon. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a nice day, and take care.